It's news around the world, into Africa and across the nation Nigeria. You're welcome to ITVS World News. My name is Anolo Idowu. And we'll kickstart with a story from South Sudan, where Pope Francis made headlines a year ago, becoming the first pontiff to visit the newest country of the world. But on the anniversary of that visit, during which he and church leaders from the United Kingdom called for peace, South Sudanese people feel little has changed so far. But some are still holding out hope, and one of the messages of the Holy Father Pope Francis to South Sudan was to unite, but unity is still elusive according to them due to tribal differences. The Catholic Archbishop of Juba, Cardinal Stephen Ameyu Martin, told the BBC. He said South Sudan's resources are not being shared more widely, despite the Pope having urged togetherness. Meanwhile, baby Pauline, Blessing Adu, in the country, was given a blessing by the pontiff a year ago. Her parent, John Bosco Okiru, and Jennifer Aya, says she has been a blessing and continues to be a blessing to the family and community. And according to her father, the capital city, Juba, feels a somewhat calmer and safer place to live than before that visit last February 2023. Away from South Sudan now to Senegal, where Senegal's reputation as a bastion of democracy in an unstable region is on the line as protesters clash with police outside the National Assembly. Inside, lawmakers have passed the contentious bill to extend President Macky Sall's tenure and delay elections after he called off a planned action with just 3 weeks to go. Khalifa Sall, a leading opponent and a former mayor of Dakar, who is not related to the president, called the delay a constitutional coup and urged people to protest against it. Tierno Alassane Sall, another candidate, also no relation, called it high treason and urged his supporters to gather in front of the National Assembly to protest and remind MPs to stand on the right side of history. The proposal needed for the support of 3/5, that is 99 of 165 deputies to pass, and there was a heated atmosphere in the chamber, and it was reported that some opposition MPs have been removed by security forces after they tried to block proceedings. In the end, 105 MPs voted for the proposal, but his critics accuse him of either trying to cling on to power or unfairly influencing whoever succeeds him. No sooner than had he announced the unprecedented postponement than protesters marched across the capital, Dakar, to call for a reversal. President Sall justified the election delay by saying time was needed to resolve the dispute ensued between the council and some members of parliament. Mr. Sall's critics suggest he may have feared his chosen successor, Prime Minister Amadou Ba, was in danger of losing the election. And here is a report courtesy of France 24.
In the streets of the Senegalese capital, protesters spent most of Sunday afternoon on the run from the police. Supporters of various Senegalese opposition parties fled tear gas after turning out en masse to mark what would have been the start of the campaign period had President Macky Sall not scrapped the election.
The president is violating the constitution in a very flagrant manner.
Senegalese people are here to protest peacefully against injustice and were fired on with tear gas.
Gendarmes were deployed in large numbers to prevent demonstrators from gathering at the official protest site. The demonstrators themselves set up barricades in response. These scenes went on for hours. Many said they were determined to fight on until an election is held.
Macky Sall waited until the last moment to delay the election. We will force a vote through on February 25th. We will vote.
Tierno Alassane Sall, an independent opposition candidate, also attended the protests. He said he would seek to legally challenge Macky Sall's decision to delay the presidential election.
What's happening is a revision that aims to prolong the term of the president, contrary to the framework of the Constitution. Today, we cannot accept that the Constitution, which gives the president his powers, is violated.
It's been a day of high political tension, and we get the sense that this will only continue, that the fire will continue to burn until the President Macky Sall sets a date for this election and until some kind of real political settlement is reached.
of Africa, let's switch focus now into the United States, where Nikki Haley, the last remaining serious challenger to Donald Trump for the Republican nomination, has formally requested Secret Service protection. The White House hopeful told the Wall Street Journal additional security was needed because of multiple issues. Ms. Haley, who trails in opinion polls to Mr. Trump, has been urged by the ex-president to exit the race and unify the party against Democrat Joe Biden. Ms. Ali, a former United Nations ambassador and South Carolina governor, currently uses personal security while campaigning, and local police are also present at events. Ms. Ali's home was recently targeted by a swatting hoax in which a call to emergency services is made by someone trying to trigger a response from a heavily armed police squad. She said that she was not home at the time, but her elderly parents were there with a caregiver. Protesters have shown up at Ms. Haley's campaign event to criticize her support for Israel and Ukraine. Meanwhile, independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has repeatedly asked for Secret Service protection, but said it was denied. His uncle, President John F. Kennedy, and father, Senator Robert Kennedy, were both killed by assassins while in office. Since announcing his candidacy, he has faced at least 2 significant threats, including an armed man posing as a member of a security detail at a campaign event. Still in the United States, meanwhile, a drone attack on the largest U.S. military base in Syria has killed at least 6 allied Kurdish-led fighters. The Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, says its commando academy at the Al-Omar oil field in the eastern province of Deir al-Zur was hit in the early hours of Monday. It accused Iran-backed militias of launching the drone from a nearby area controlled by Syrian government forces. An Iran-backed militia umbrella group claimed it attacked the base on Sunday, and there was no comment or reports of casualties from the United States military, which has about 800 troops in Syria to combat the Islamic State IS group. It was the second incident since the U.S. conducted strikes against Iran-backed groups in Iraq and Syria over the weekend in response to a deadly drone attack on the base in Jordan. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a UK-based monitoring group, reported that 7 SDF commandos were killed and 18 others injured in what it said was the 108th militia attack on the United States bases in the country since mid-October. The Islamic Resistance in Iraq, IRI, an umbrella group of Iraqi militias believed to be armed, trained and fully funded by Iran, said it carried out a drone attack on Sunday against the U.S. occupation base in Al-Omar oil field. The IRI has claimed many of the drone rockets and missile attacks that have targeted United States troops in Iraq, Syria, and Jordan since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Iran denied any involvement in the attack, but the United States believes it manufactured the drone and that coordination of the militias is overseen by its Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, IRGC, according to Quds Force. Away from that now to a tragic moment where, following the anecdote of King Charles's cancer diagnosis, the king has spent the night at home after beginning outpatient cancer treatment. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak tells BBC he's in regular contact with the king and is thankful the illness was caught early. On Monday, Buckingham Palace announced the cancer was found during the king's recent treatment for a benign enlarged prostate. The palace has not said what type of cancer the king has been diagnosed with. Meanwhile, the monarch has postponed public duties but will undertake state duties and continue to meet the Prime Minister weekly. And as we speak, Prince Harry is traveling to the United Kingdom from California to see his father. It's news around the world into Africa and across the nation Nigeria. Here's see on to the World News on Immaculate Television, a brief into the world of entertainment and sports. South African singer Tyla's victory at the Grammys, beating 4 Nigerian nominees, has fueled the nation's 2 rivalry as they prepare to face off in a crunch football match on Wednesday. Tyla won her song Water in the Best African Music Performance over Davido, Ayra Starr, and Burna Boy. Nigerians have called on their national team, the Super Eagles, to avenge them. They play South Africa in the African Cup of Nations AFCON semi-finals in Ivory Coast on Wednesday, and this year saw the introduction of an award for the Best African Music Performance, a move widely welcomed on the continent, despite some criticism that it was long overdue. Tyla was the first winner and was joyous as she accepted the award on Sunday night. And Nigerian Afrobeats giant Burna Boy was nominated in a total of 4 categories but did not walk away with a single golden gramophone. However, a spellbinding performance at the award ceremony left the audience in awe, and South Africa was also represented by comedian Trevor Noah, who was at the helm of the prestigious award ceremony, which he hosted for a fourth time. Also in Kenya, Kenyan actor Charles Uda, popularly known as Charlie, has died at the age of 38. His family said in a statement that he passed away on Saturday night without giving further details, and the circumstances surrounding his death remain unclear as at the time of filing this report, and the family appealed to everyone to respect the privacy of his grieving fiancée, Cyril Muriuki, and the entire family. Ms. Muriuki, a former BBC Africa presenter, and Uda shared the news of their engagement in September last year, and Uda had bagged several awards, including 2016 Best Director Prize and the 72-hour Shootout Judges' Choice Award at the Asian American Film Lab Awards. MultiChoice Kenya, an entertainment firm, said Uda was a beacon of hope in the film industry. And in sports, former Barcelona and Brazil football player Dani Alves has gone on trial in Spain accused of raping a woman in a nightclub. The 40-year-old has been in prison without bail for more than a year since the alleged incident took place in December 2022. Mr. Alves could face up to 12 years in prison if found guilty. His forced denial having met his accuser, but later said they had had consensual sex. His trial ends on Wednesday, and more than 30 people, including Dani Alves and his estranged wife, are expected to testify. The Barcelona court on Monday denied his request to suspend the trial so that he could be given more time to prepare, rejecting his claim that he had suffered a trial by media. The public prosecutor in the case is seeking a 9-year jail term for Mr. Alves and for him to pay damages of about 150,000 US pounds to the woman. And before we end the news today, remember that you can join our live programs on multiple digital platforms. For iPhone users, Limex World is where to find us. As well, for Android users, NetNiger TV app is where we are. Once and again, thank you for joining. My name is Anoluwapo Ido, and on behalf of the entire news production crew, as well as the executive producer of this newscast, Yitayo Folorensho, we say thank you for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.